Hello and welcome to Navigating Life as an Immigrant Woman, where we share stories and challenge you to expand your thinking and leverage your immigrant advantage. If you are on that journey of becoming a successful woman, you are in the right place. Today, in episode 4, we're going to talk about inclusion. Inclusion is my word for this month as we celebrate Black History Month in Canada. And for me, inclusion is all about belonging. Boiling it down and looking at the definition of inclusion in the dictionary, I sum it up as that ability to have access. And access is the ability to obtain or make use of something. Access equals freedom. And access plus removing barriers to access equals opportunities. The fact is that people leave their home countries and people choose to come to a place like Canada. That's just the fact of immigration. And when making that choice, I believe most people anticipate that they will face challenges. But what those challenges may look like, or the intensity of the challenges, it's always going to be unknown for the most part. Some of them we cannot even imagine until we live it. One thing I've discovered through my research and having conversations with other immigrants and as an immigrant myself is that at the forefront of many of these challenges we face as immigrants is the inability to communicate. And I'm not just talking about language. Yes, language barrier in itself is huge. But it's also just one piece of that communication puzzle. And breaking language barrier further includes so many other nuances. The other fact is that it does take time to learn a language, and that time increases with age of migration. So all of these things affects an immigrant's ability to access services, to navigate the bureaucracy of government institutions, to understand the nuances of culture and things like education, even insurance policies, financial institutions, and healthcare, just to name a few. And all of these things that I've mentioned are really basic, primary, fundamental functions for success. Actually, for myself, even after many decades as an immigrant, I continue to discover daily new things that my lack of knowledge has impacted my access to opportunities. Unfortunately, this lack of access also increases the risks of being taken advantage of by those who prey on and profit from others' lack of access, including language access. In the time I spent working with adult learners, I witnessed firsthand the huge negative impact of barriers to access and the individual and collective missed opportunities to grow together as a community. One good example that I can share is when I was working in post-secondary, I could see how so many students were impacted by their lack of access in being successful in class, because first of all, they didn't have the right access to information to apply for financial aid. And by the time they got support and got their loans, others had been doing assignments, they had been progressing in classes, some of them potentially 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks into school. They had missed a big chunk of what was being taught because they did not have access to buy textbooks. But there was a solution, or there is a solution. And these are some of the things we will discuss later in other series. But I learned the importance of inclusive design in that environment, in how it helped to minimize or eliminate barriers, and it just served everybody. Inclusive design and human-centered thinking are great solutions to the effect of removing barriers to access and creating or enabling equal opportunities. But my question is, how many of these people that we are helping are actually on the table where the discussions on these solutions that directly impact them are being made? And secondly, for those on the table, how many are supported to ask those uncomfortable questions, challenge status quo, and feel that their lived experiences add value to the decisions being made? Aside from these bigger, wider reaching solutions, what can you, as an immigrant woman, do to empower and advocate for yourself? There's a lot to unpack here, and I will dedicate the next few episodes to diving deeper into access. For this week, however, as you reflect on this, I recommend you start with awareness. Pick one area, like personal finance, and one sub-area of that area, and read about it. Listen to a podcast. Ask an expert a question. In my book, The Successful Immigrant Woman, recognizing that access and barriers to opportunities impacts the success of any immigrant, one of the things I did was to be intentional of the language level and flow of my book. Awareness often starts with getting informed. The Successful Immigrant Woman is a great resource that not only shares relevant and practical information, it also provides exercises you can practice to make that information work for you in your personal circumstance. Join me next week as we continue the conversation on inclusion. Remember to say yes to infinite and amazing opportunities every day.